What's up, Musketeers? GH here. Today we're gonna do Miko, Kanushi, Exorcist, and Crusader. This is the second most popular magical cleric build. The first one is Druid Exo Crusader. We're not gonna do that because some of my subs wanted to see Miko. And you guys know the drill. We're gonna show each classes, what they do, the good and the bad, and some of my thoughts to finish up the video. So buckle up, because I'm gonna take you for a ride in the world of Miko, Exorcist, and Crusader. Let's do this. Okay, here's the build. We got Kanushi or Miko if you're a female. Then we got Exorcist and Crusader. Before we start with the classes that we have, let me just show you one cleric skill that you're gonna need. And it's Guardian Saint. This skill increases your healing capability, but there's an attribute for this that turns it into a buff that increases magic damage to targets by 20% for 30 seconds. Use this when starting to attack. The first class we're gonna cover is Miko. Now, Miko or Kanushi if you're a male is a class that attacks enemies with holy property attacks or give buffs to their allies. And the reason this class is here is because it can increase magic attack damage as well as add magical attacks that can help the build. Plus, this class recently received a rebalance, so this is a good reason to show this class. The first spell is Kagura. This spell was pre-made and now it gives a 50% magic damage increase and you no longer need to dance and become useless. Now when you use it, it will just charge up, and when it's maxed, you get the magic damage increase, but it only lasts 15 seconds with 20 seconds cooldown. Next spell is Omikuji. This is a buff that randomly gives one of the buff listed on the screen. The duration is about 30 seconds depending on your attribute, and there's an art for this that adds another buff that can be obtained, which gives loot buffs. Third spell is Weeping. This spell is a magic circle that increases the level of other magic circles used near it. Fourth spell is Hamaya. This is a small area attack that can deal about 3.5k skill factor of damage every second that lasts 10 seconds, and you can accelerate the damage if you use a certain exorcist skill called Entity. We're gonna touch on that in a bit. Fifth spell is Gohei. This was reworked too, and what it does now is inflict damage and remove enemy buff or ally debuff. And depending on the number of buffs the enemy lost, they will get increased magic damage received. Check this out. This is the damage of Rubric now, and this is after removing enemy buffs. Now the last spell is Clap. This increases damage and duration of installation skills like the Ebder Beast statues. Unfortunately, we don't have those here, so yeah. And that's Miko, currently a good source of buffs that can increase magic damage. And now for the second class in this build, Exorcist. Now Exorcist uses magic of divine properties to expel evil energies and overthrow demonic enemies. And the reason this class is here is because it can work with Miko, plus it offers a variety of offensive magic attacks that can help the build deal with mobbing and boss fighting. First exorcist spell is Entity. This is an area attack that deals damage, and it also accelerates the rate of damage of Hamaya, effectively increasing its overall damage output. Second spell is Gregorate. This is a holy property attack, but more importantly, it also gives a buff that increases magic damage by 60% for 10-15 seconds. Using this alongside Kagura is gonna create a very strong consecutive magical attacks. Next spell is Aqua Benedicta. This is a holy property magic circle attack that deals damage every half a second. Next is Kata di Caso, another holy magic attack, but there's an art for this that changes it to fire property and leaves a magic circle that deals damage. Second to the last spell is Rubric. This is your main holy magic attack as an Exorcist. There's an art for this that changes the property to dark and debuffs an enemy to reduce its attack. To improve the capability of Rubric, you might want to get a Skiaclipse two-handed Mo because it can add 2 more seconds to Rubric, which will definitely increase the damage of Rubric. The last spell is Encratea. This reduces the damage taken and make you immune to knockback and knockdown for a few seconds only, and there's an attribute for this that prevents you from dying while the spell is active. It's kinda like an iframe. It's called the Goddess Reply. And that's Exorcist. Again, like Miko, it's a good source of buffs that can increase the magic damage of the whole build and also add more spells on the table. And now for the last class, Crusader. Now Crusader, for the most part, are burst damagers, but you can heal if you choose so. And the reason this class is here is because of its arsenal of magic attacks that will take advantage of the magic damage increase buff of the 2 other class that we got here. The first spell is Chant. This is a self buff that gives you 2 options to prioritize healing or magic damage, and in this build, it's always gonna be magic damage. And the increase is about 60%, and that works with all magic attacks in this build, so it's a pretty useful spell. Next spell is Protection of Goddess. This is your strongest attack in this build. At max attribute, it deals about 43k skill factor, and you can even take it up a notch if you put some arts attributes on it. It's a pretty good skill. Problem is, it will hit damage cap most of the time. Third spell is Condemn. This is another high skill factor attack that smashes the ground and leaves a magic circle that deals damage. Coming up next is Sacred. Another holy attack, but you need to hold it down to make it complete the attack. Slightly annoying, but it's very good. Lastly, Retaliation. This is a wide area attack that you can choose to drop anywhere you like. And that's Crusader, awesome chant buff with a myriad of magic attacks that will surely help the build shine. And now let's do the good and the bad. Let's start with the bad. The only bad thing that I encountered in this build is there's a lot of abilities here that only last 10 to 30 seconds, mostly 15 seconds. And timing it with all of your spells is so tight that most of the time only a few of your spells gets to benefit from the buffs. And I guess, mobility, you don't have any here. And now for the good stuff. First off, there's an array of spell here to use. You won't have any problem with cooldown. And the damage is very high. And it can also serve as a good damage buffer for your teammates. In terms of mobbing, it's pretty decent. A lot of AoEs and magic circles. And it's also decent for boss fighting, albeit I'd rather change Miko to Druid, but that's just me. All in all, this is an amazing build for endgame content, and that's the build. What do you think? Do you prefer the build, or do you want to change something here? Share your thoughts in the comment section down below, and if you like the video, hit the thumbs up, share, and then subscribe to be part of the Gaming Hardcore family. And as always, this is Gaming Hardcore. See you in the next one.